So the current Fury downhill bike was developed in 2008-2009, and it was the world's first full carbon downhill frame. Over the past decade, there's been a lot of changes to riding styles particularly of downhill bikes. Everybody's getting a lot more aggressive. Tracks are getting steeper, jumps are getting bigger, people are going faster. Whether it's the level of somebody like a G. Atherton or a Mark Beaumont racing at World Cups, they're needing to go faster and farther. But even if you're just a Grom who's shredding bike park, the level of riding of just your average day Joe has gotten a lot higher.
The initial impression of the Carbon Fury was, it was a lot better than I expected it to be, you know, in all honesty. You know, it's been on the World Cup circuit for a good few years, and I know me and G first rode it, and you know, we were both really surprised by how well it rode, and that was cool, you know, to know that was the bike we were going to be riding, and it suited me really well. You know, I got on really well with it. I had one of the best seasons I've ever had on it.
The current Fury Carbon is a great bike. It won several World Cups this year, but the geometry was kind of outdated to the current World Cup design.
So virtually from the time that the ink was dry on the Atherton Racing contract, we started developing the new Fury bike with them. I think it was about 2 days after they were officially signed on board with us that ATN got on a plane, flew over to the UK, sat down with them, and really started brainstorming what their needs were going to be. So the goals when revising the Fury were pretty straightforward. One was we had to really maintain GT's legendary independent drivetrain pedaling performance, and that was something that has set the Fury apart from others within the downhill category. Secondly, we needed to give the bike progressive geometry set, something that was going to allow riders to go fast on a World Cup downhill track. Third, need to really trim the weight, keep the weight down on the bike. Being able to have a light bike is shaving fractions of a second off the clock, and that's the difference between being on the podium and being off the back. Next, had to keep the bike nice and stiff. And stiff bikes mean that the bike's going to track better, means that you're going to have a faster time on the clock. And last, we needed to just update some of the suspension performance of the bike.
The major innovation of this new bike is that we have iDrive specific for gravity. Changing the outputs of the iDrive, I was able to achieve at the same time a better pedaling performance and a better suspension performance.
You sometimes get harsh bottom out when we had big impacts. So this bike gives us a slightly better curve that eliminates that issue right at the bottom there.
In terms of geometry, the main difference is an angle went from 65 to 63. The chainstay is shorter by 10 mil, so it's 430 instead of 440. The BB is 20 mil lower. Yeah, we use a 30 millimeter stem now, so the front triangle grew by 50 mil.
We did back-to-back testing against our old bike versus our new bike. And obviously I've been on the old bike a long time, so I was pretty attached to that and knew exactly how it would work. On the first day, I was a second faster on the new bike than I was on the old bike. So that was kind of proof in the pudding that we were going in the right direction.
At the end of last race season, you know, I actually got on the large Carbon Fury as opposed to the medium, which I've been racing in. And I felt 10 seconds faster already on a large, and I was stoked on that. You know, it was amazing to feel that fast just by going up a size.
The cockpit's a bit longer, meaning in a turn you can kind of make a mistake, and if the front end jumps from under you, you've got space to move and correct that before you're in that danger zone of your weight being over the front axle.
Weight and stiffness to solve these two issues are extremely linked together. It's a combination of a lot of little details that at the end make a lot of difference. For example, there is like through axle pivot with bearings put as far as possible on the side. It's a real axle that is pinched on both sides. We also have a link that linked the top tube and the swing arm in order to have like some stiffness. The frame is asymmetric. I use all the space available on the non-drive side. All the frame is designed with hollow parts. There is like a lot of things you cannot even see. Inside the bike, there is some machining just to save 5 grams, but are just covered by weld. This frame is 300 grams lighter than our carbon version. The head tube stiffness compared to carbon version is 26% increase. and the BB stiffness is 38% increase. We decided to make an aluminum version first, as we are changing a lot of things. Cutting molds with something that is in the process of development wasn't a risk we wanted to take. But we can imagine in the future having the carbon version.
Definitely one of the things you notice on this new frame is the way it pedals. You know, I'm not just saying that. In England, you know, we have a lot of pedally flat tracks, and it feels almost like you're riding a different bike, and then you get into the technical stuff and it's perfect. You know, it turns like it turns the best bike I've ever ridden.
All these things mean you can stick to the floor better, you can track better, and the bike's going to be a lot more comfortable on steeper, faster tracks.
It's quite a low bottom bracket at the moment, and I think as a platform it works really well, and it feels really steady and stable.
So basically we've got overall a more rounded package that it'll track the ground really well, and it'll absorb, you know, those big impacts that you sometimes get when you over jumps or big drops and so on.
The bike seems to be comfortable in these fast, high-speed, rough tracks. When you're in a position of where on other bikes you'd be getting thrown or kicked or sliding out, the bike seems to track really well. It seems to stick to the floor, and I think on a World Cup circuit when you're riding such a variety of tracks, you know, you need that, and so far I think we're spot on.